that is launched out to deep left field. Big fly for Mike Trout, 1-0 Halo. Ground ball to second base, Rengifo falls down, picks it up, fires the first. The Angels have no hit. The Seattle Mariners. That is drilled out to left field. The Angels are going to have a 1-0 lead. Anthony Rendell with a big fly, his third.
Hey guys, I'm Alex Curry.
This is Joe Adele here with the Los Angeles Angels. This is Brendan Marsh.
This is Chris Rodriguez.
And you're listening to the All Angels Podcast.
And welcome to another edition of the All Angels Podcast, back in Halo Haven with, of course,
the curator here.
And I am Dan Garcia. We'll get into the unfortunate Monday through Wednesday series up in Oakland. We didn't put out a podcast last week. Shit's kind of crazy at my house right now. Couldn't get we're painting, and so I was kind of displaced for a little bit. So sorry about that.
The nerve.
Don't they know we got something going on every Sunday? So sorry about that. But you know, the Angels did come off with that back-to-back sweep. Obviously most recently of Arizona. After that game, how did that make you feel after the Arizona game?
I mean, how the season's been going to this point, and then to come out with back-to-back sweeps,
6-game streak,
to come back in some of those games, you're feeling pretty good, and you're feeling like, okay, we could right the ship. That this season is salvageable, and at the halfway point or nearing the halfway point to be at 500. I was fine with that. I was feeling good. I was feeling like hope was alive.
You're like, bring on the A's. We're ready.
Yeah,
Come on.
Okay, we're gonna show these guys this time around, and
not so much. No. So obviously, like we mentioned, Angels had a great series out in Arizona. Kind of, no, sketchy, but like some of those games are a lot closer than needing to be, and you kind of felt like if Arizona was a team, I wasn't say good team, but if they were just a reasonable team, it could have been a lot different. But Angels took advantage of the lesser competition. So coming into Monday, obviously a big step up in competition with Oakland A's still in the lead for the AL West, and you're kind of now using that as a measuring stick for the Angels. Again, like we said, coming in on a 6-game winning streak. But Dylan Bundy on the mound on Monday continues to struggle. So you're hoping again in this one, I guess for every start from now on, you're kind of hoping this is the one where he kind of gets back on track.
Yeah, I think his previous start, he was actually showing a little bit more of the Bundy we came to know for 60-game season last year.
Yeah,
you had the Lord Bundy and all the stuff that
all the memes, all that stuff. Yep.
And then he just can't put it together. And he said he's feeling good. He said his arms feel, he's feeling healthy and he's throwing all right. But I don't know, it's just not
sticky.
Yeah,
the sticky
icky.
The sticky. Yeah, exactly. Allegedly, quote unquote, allegedly. Yeah. So he would get up early. Bundy would by a Juan Lagares home run in the second. So you're already thinking to yourself, okay, pitching with a lead, a little more relaxed, a little more, less stressed than like a 0-0 game going into the 4th or 5th inning. But in the bottom of the second, A's would get to Bundy with a 2-run home run, which you look at last year, you look at this year. You can kind of look at all the other side stats all you want and the defense behind them all you want and stuff like that. But a stat that really stands out that is pretty much not responsible for anyone but Bundy is this home runs. He's beginning up a ton more home runs.
I think he's like 5th most in the AL
right
now.
It's like, I think there was a stat that came out where last year for the whole 60-game season, like 7 home runs. I think he's already at like 9.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what happened kind of deal. So he's leaving his fastball and obviously, a lot of his pitches over the plate way too much. But like I said, gives up that 2-run home run. So now obviously it's 2-1 Oakland, but it continued in the third. And that's kind of where the wheels fell off for Dylan Bundy. After a hits batsman, Bundy would end up having a 5-run third to make it 7-1 Oakland. And that was it for Bundy. 2 1/3, 5 hits, 7 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. So again, we're back here. Feels like every week. Is Bundy good still?
Yeah, you put that out on the poll too. He put it on the poll.
Put it on the poll.
Yeah, Daniel put it on Instagram as a question, and I think the results. I think the final results were like 92%.
Yeah, 91 to it was 90 to 10. 90 to 10. The question was, is he the worst pitcher in the rotation right now? Not because Quintana's out. you know, you would think it would be that guy, but he doesn't count. He's not in the rotation. But as of right now, as this sits, we have Ohtani, Canning, Bundy, Sandoval, Cobb. Who else am I missing there? I feel like I'm missing someone else. Haney. Yeah. So that's the 6. Is he the worst out of all of them right now?
But hey, there are some people that had some faith in him. There's 8%. You know who you are.
Yeah, you know you are. I don't know what you were thinking, but you are. So, question
do you think Bundy jumped in that poll?
Yeah, right. Slide into the DM. He has a burner account. He has a burner account. How much longer do you give? This is a question we have on YouTube right now. How much longer do you keep Bundy in the rotation? He's been killing us.
I don't know. It's going to get to the point if he goes out again and gives has a similar outing, there's got to be a point where we got to sit him, and maybe that'll be the motivation for him to move forward, because he goes out there and maybe put together 2 good innings and then just wheels fall off, big run inning, and it's just hard to recover from an inning like that. And then I think the Angels end up coming back a little bit, yeah. But it's just too late.
Yeah, Bundy's ERA is now up to 6.98. I mean, and to kind of give you guys a little foreshadowing in this episode, we're going to play clips of interviews I did both with Reed Detmers and Rhett Bollinger from MLB.com. One of the questions I asked Rhett was that exact same thing. Because of Jose Suarez's kind of, you've seen him in 2-3 inning kind of spurts, and he's looked really, really good. Does he get like a Sandoval thing where it's like, hey, we'll put you out there in a spot start. Oh wow, you're doing great. We'll just keep you going. And that's something I asked them. And so I don't know if it's going to, honestly, I don't know if it's going to be on the podcast clip, but if you want to see his answer, if you want to see the full interview for both of those interviews, both the Reed Detmers and the Rhett Bollinger one, go to our YouTube page, All Angels Podcast YouTube page. The full interviews there. We will play clips here on this podcast, but to see the full interview, the Reed Bollinger, the Reed Detmers ones is like 22 minutes. The Rhett one is about 45 minutes. So obviously we couldn't play the whole thing here, but when you have time, if you can, go to our YouTube page. The full interviews are there. They're up. They're posted now. So that's a really great question. This Friday, we're probably going to have Ty Butcher on the podcast. Okay, cool. This Friday, we're probably going to, okay, there we go. Ty, nothing against Ty Butcher, but we've had him on the podcast too. Great guy. Got to meet him out in Tempe Diablo.
Yeah. Wish him all the best.
Wish him, talk to Sam all the time. Sam's his wife is great. We talk back and forth. Same thing with Ty. We talk to him all the time too. It's really, really cool. So back to the game on Monday. It would be 8-1 in the top of the 7th. And after a Jared Walsh double, another single by Juan Lagares, all RBIs. David Fletcher, another RBI single. This, Fletcher is now really starting to kind of catch on fire a little bit from his earlier season slump.
Well, then you see his numbers against Oakland. I think it's like
it's crazy.
It's like 45 games.
If he ever hits the free agent market, Oakland should just sign him just because of all that stuff. Just so he doesn't beat him like that.
It's like lifetime batting average against Oakland, like 345, something around there. So yeah, he's starting to catch fire. So that's good. I always think something about you say, historically they perform against a certain team. And it's like a lot of the guys that say the guys come and go from clubs.
Yeah.
So what is it? Is it the atmosphere? Is it?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
I don't know.
And it's something too that you think about. And historically, we're talking about Fletcher and how good he does up in Oakland. We can also same thing, kind of flip it around and talk about how bad Trout does in Houston. But in one of those games where people are mic'd up, it caught on the mic where he just can't pick up the ball that well.
The ball off the bat,
off the pitcher's hand because the batter's something with the batter's eye. It's just something that's just different there that other parts he can't pick it up. So maybe it's the flip for Fletcher. Maybe there's something about that batter's eye that he can really just.
No, but they're even talking about even playing at home against Oakland. So it's like, how do you explain that?
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe he had a best friend that was from the area and he now doesn't like him.
I think even the greater stat is when you look at the Angels, against say like the Yankees and the few teams has a winning record against the Yankees.
See,
but it's like people have come and go.
I'm kind of thinking too, because it is the Yankees and against teams with like kind of a historical history. When you're a kid, that's what you hear. The Yankees, the 20 whatever rings at the time, you hear it. So if you're hearing all that nostalgia and all that like hype when you're a kid, well then maybe you do get up a little bit more because now you're on the Angels, or now you're on the White Sox, or now you're on the Rays, and maybe you remember hearing all that stuff when you're a kid. It's like, yeah, I'm playing the Yankees, and you get up maybe a little bit more for something like for teams like that. Oakland, I don't know. Maybe like I said, maybe he had a best friend that lived up in Oakland, and now they don't get along at all, and so he's trying to take it out on them. I don't know.
Something a separate podcast.
Yeah, but definitely. So after that, the Angels close it out the 5-8, and you're kind of thinking, okay, this is gonna get interesting. Again, this is the 7th inning, but that's as close as they can get. This final score is 8-5. Some things on this game that are kind of worth to note, and you kind of mentioned a little bit with Fletcher and the hot streak. Fletcher and Iglesias both get 4 hits in this game. So nice. Again, guys that you don't expect to put the ball out of the ballpark, able to get on base. Normally 5 runs will win you a game, but because of that inning against Bundy, where it absolutely just blew up, you didn't even really have a shot. That, and then Anthony Rendon left early in the game because of something wrong with his tricep strain or something like along those lines. So that's something else to kind of look at when we obviously start the series with Detroit coming back home, reopening day. So wow. Yeah, so it will be interesting to see how that goes. But like I mentioned, Angels dropped the opening game 5-8.
Yeah, and getting back to Bundy, I mean, first few months of the season, you're like, oh, it's just a small sample size. This is a decent sample size.
Now it's you're absolutely right.
We're almost we're pretty much to the point of we're over a third, through the season, which we're looking at. Yeah, it's the same sample size we had last year, in which we hailed him as Lord Bundy,
and he got all the hype. Well, the funny part that I talk about this
Cy
with Rhett,
Young, all that stuff.
I talk about this with Rhett on the interview. At this time last year, after the season, everyone was saying extend him. Now it's looking really good that they didn't, because him, Bundy, Heaney, Cobb, Quintana, all 4 of those guys are going to be free agents at the end of this year. And I even asked too in the interview with Rhett, out of those guys, who do you think the Angels will, if any, will they re-sign? And again, he talks about that. And again, to get that full interview, go over to our YouTube page, All Angels Podcast. And again, the full
spoiler.
No,
you're not gonna come on.
I mean, the clip.
I haven't even heard it.
Well, that's your fault. The clip that we're gonna play later has some good stuff in it too. So definitely stick around for that. So let's move over to Tuesday now. It sucks to lose a game like that against Oakland, but some of the good things I guess you can come out of it was that the offense was kind of clicking. The offense, like I mentioned, you got 4 hits from Fletcher, you got 4 hits from Iglesias. You just kind of had to minimize that huge inning. So going into Tuesday, Andrew Heaney looked to take the mound. He's had, again, another one of these pitchers that's had a really good starts and then really kind of average to below average starts. So you're always kind of wondering what is going to happen, what kind of start will this pitcher be. So the Angels are up early again. I mean, that's kind of been the theme this whole series, is that the Angels were up first in the whole series and yet could not hold the lead. And something that you think in baseball, score first and your chances of winning go way up. I mean, that's kind of something that they've always told you, like in Little League and college and high school.
Then if you're like watching like a play-by-play thing on the internet, it says the probability of
winning.
I'm pretty sure when they're up, it's showing it's like 98%. So
yeah, exactly. So
for most teams,
the Angels would get up first with an Upton when Upton drives in a run in the 3rd inning. Now it's 1-0. Upton's been surprisingly hot at that leadoff spot.
Yeah, and I think we're always critical of the manager, everything that goes
wrong.
That worked. Wow,
that worked.
He changed it with Upton.
Again, I don't want to ruin the interview, but I asked Rhett, is it because he's at the leadoff spot, or is it because we're so far in the season now, Upton's had a chance to kind of, because Upton's always been a slow starter. Would this have happened in the 3rd spot just because he needed at bats? You know what I mean? Like a lot of players say I need X amount at bats to feel like in midseason form. Did that just happen to be when he was in the leadoff spot, or was that just because it is the leadoff spot? You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't know which one. I guess there is no wrong answer, but it's just, I don't know, something I thought of.
I think he just has to have a different approach, being the leadoff hitter, and just a whole different mindset. No, I think it's that, because we've seen a full season of Upton a few times. What kind of
foolish? Foolish.
Yeah. So and I don't think he's had. I don't know. I feel like it's a different look for him and some motivation, and I like it.
Yeah, I mentioned it before too. Like when the whole Albert thing, probably on this podcast, when the Albert thing happens, like, oh, you know what's going through now? Upton's mind. Oh crap, they're cutting guys. I gotta pick out my guy.
Yeah,
I'm now the next oldest guy now that Albert's gone.
So you have to think about it. I think that's part of it. Too.
Yeah, it's like, oh damn, I'm on my last year of my contract.
These guys aren't messing around.
I'm on my last year of the contract next year. I better start picking it up. But honestly, too, you see him running. You see him running like either in the outfield or on the bases. He looks a lot healthier this year than he has in years
turf
past.
toe was, I mean, anyone who's had that turf toe, I know we make fun of it. Like,
because of the name,
but it's hard.
Yeah,
you can't put, you can't run and get in the corner and then just stop real quick
on a dime. Exactly,
he's doing that
right, and then even too running the bases, making the turn from first to third or second to home. Like before, it was kind of like Albert, like, oh, don't send him. Now it's like he does feel like he's moving a lot easier, a lot better. So you kind of do have a little bit more confidence in him, like like I said, going first to third or going from second to home. And it shows too, I think, in his at bats. Obviously the lower half is so important. Obviously, when you can have a solid foundation in the lower half, that means the world to someone like Upton. So, like I mentioned, Upton puts him on the board, but that lead wouldn't last long as the A's get 2 runs in the bottom of the third. They seem to do a really good job at that. Whenever the Angels score, that very next half inning or maybe the next inning after that, they came and responded to it like right away.
Yeah, I remember like growing up playing baseball or like high school, the coach, it sounds very obvious, but like you got to win every inning.
Yeah.
So if they put up a run, you put up 2, you put up 1, let's cancel it out.
Right.
And that's how you win because they got the team with the highest score at the end of the game that scores the most runs wins.
I thought it was the highest
prediction.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, but you're right. The A's always came back up.
Yeah, and you hear Gooby talk about it all the time on the broadcast where it's like the Angels get 2 runs. All right, this inning or the very next half inning, you gotta put up a 0 because all the momentum you build will be gone just like that. Even if it's like a 2-0 lead and you give up 1, well, now the team thinks it's still in it. So now you don't have any of that momentum that you accomplish by getting up 2-0 or 3-0 or whatever.
You gotta grit your teeth, bear down, and just put up those zeros. And I think it's the comfortability out there, like hey,
exactly,
easy cruising. Nope.
No. So the Angels would end up tying it in the 5th when Fletcher singles in Kurt Suzuki. Again, Fletcher in Oakland, like you mentioned, against I guess just Oakland in general, as absolutely killing it. A place that you've been.
They what are they? I think it was like 6,000 in attendance today.
Well, to be fair, I did ask someone about it. Oakland isn't at full capacity like down here. They don't hit full capacity until 2 more weeks. So, not saying that it's going to reach the magnitude of Angel Stadium tomorrow or Dodger Stadium yesterday, but at least I will grant them at least some kind of leeway because they're not up.
They need to bring in more tarps and then tarp up more seats.
What if like you show up to Oakland one time, like every other section's tarp,
and then their full capacity is 12,000, and they have 6. So yeah,
they should just make full capacity. They should do that. Make full capacity like 12,000. Sell out every single. That don't say that. Don't say the number of fans there. Just say sell out.
Yep.
It'll look great for clickbait for sure. So Heaney would end up starting the 6th inning and give up a single to the first batter, Matt Olson, and he would be done after that. So he does get into the 6th. Wasn't able to work. Or gave a chance to kind of like, we'll give you out there. As long as you don't get any trouble, we'll keep you out there. But that was it. Olson would end up coming around later, so that does go on Andrew Heaney's line. And his final line was 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, so $6 for the Tyler Skaggs Foundation at the end of the year. But his pitch count was at 98. So it wasn't like he got taken out early. 98 over 5 innings is kind of really compressed, I think. Usually like 98. I'm hoping that's like through 6, maybe in the 7th, but like after 5, I can kind of understand that. So you're just hoping that,
which kind of leads us into today.
Yeah, we'll get
the pitch count.
Yeah, we'll get that one later for sure. But the A's would end up scoring 3 in that inning to make the score 5-2. So again, bullpen comes in. Obviously not the best situation with Olson on first, but yet they still end up letting Olson score and then 2 more to make it 5-2. And now the Angels are playing from behind again. They get up early, but then it always seems to find them in the middle innings that now they're behind and now they have to start playing catch up. And for the most part, Oakland's bullpen isn't bad. I don't think it's like the shutdown bullpen that some teams have, but it's not it's better than ours. It's not terrible. You know what I mean? I think that definitely hurts the Angels in that situation. So it would stay that way all the way to the 8th inning when Ohtani absolutely destroyed another home run. And it's kind of crazy to think about everything he's doing right now, carrying this team again. Because this game, like we mentioned in the previous one, Rendon wasn't in it with the whole tricep thingamajig. So, Ohtani's kind of that guy now that you're depending on to really carry the team, and that makes the score 5-3. But like we mentioned, you can't seem to hold the A's down. Every time the Angels score, Oakland comes back and does something to score themselves, and the A's would add another run in the bottom of the 8th when Slager gives up another home run. If I never see Slagers or Cishek in an Angels uniform again, I'll be fine with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, they just brought Slagers back up.
Oh, dude, they brought him up at the beginning of this series and like, welcome to.
And we are going to send you down.
Yeah, have fun. Thank you for
That was fun.
So again, Angels try to kind of creep back into it, unable to. Slager gets up another home run. Like I mentioned, Cishek, Slagers, like those guys. I'm sure they're great guys. I'm not gonna say anything about them personally, but if I never see them in an Angel uniform again, I'll be good with that.
Yeah, and the cool thing like about Ohtani is I think the first few years with Ohtani was, I don't want to say it was novelty, but if he went out there and he did anything, you're like, wow, just the two-way.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's matured and he's like he has to be the leader. If Rendon's out, Trout's out. It's like you're the man now. So
he's definitely the face. I don't know if he's like the leader of I don't know if he's the one
he's a rah, but he's like, okay,
he's
we're looking at you right now. This is a pressure situation.
We want you up, two
two
outs. We want Ohtani up now.
Like, oh, Ohtani hit a home run. That's cool. And
then
he threw 100 mile an hour.
That's even better.
That's cool. We've seen that.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, now you need to help us win.
Right.
So
well, not even that, cool. Like also on the, like you mentioned, on the pitching mound, like, hey, we might need you to throw 6 innings, strike out 6, and then, oh yeah, by the way, get on base twice or something, something like that. And it's just kind of crazy to see that maturation of Ohtani from his Rookie of the Year season to, oh no, he's damaged goods, he's hurt, he has Tommy John, to now where it's like he's finally healthy and finally able to put it together and stuff like that. So
he ain't a player. He just crushes a lot.
Crushes the ball a lot for sure. Another guy that's been struggling but has had great home run numbers is Jared Walsh. He would also add a home run late in this game to make the score 6-3, but that would end up being the final score. And again, one bad inning by the bullpen kind of blows it all up. The previous one was obviously by Bundy. This one by the bullpen. The Angels once again below 500. How did that feel being above 500 for that small sample?
Above or below?
Above. I mean, we were only above for like 2 days, I think it was.
I felt like it was, like opening day. We have a winning record.
We won the first game, so we're 1-0.
This deep in the year. Wow. Like things are starting to come together.
That's it. We're turning the corner. We're good.
And I don't know about you, but my mood goes the way Angels baseball goes.
Does it?
So basically, since 2014,
I've been in a crappy mood. You've been in a crappy mood. Don't talk to me. It's been a bad day.
Like I'm like running high. And like usually, okay, so when they're down and you're like, oh, okay, this game's over, right? Yeah. You're like, this game's over. I get out of the car, I go in a Starbucks out in like Torrance. Oh, I think it was on the Saturday game, and I come back out and they're up like by 2 or 3, and I'm like, what?
That must have been a long ass Starbucks. That's been a long ass Starbucks line.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay. So you saw that little spark. I mean, it was the Diamondbacks, but
yeah. And that, again,
just the comeback,
but again,
ability, and then to come out the next day and just put up some runs.
But that's the thing, though, too. Like I was kind of saying, some of this stuff might have flew against the Diamondbacks. Some of this stuff might have flown against Kansas City, but against a really good team like the A's, you can't give them those 4-run innings, 5-run innings, like and expect to come back. Like maybe against a team like Arizona, where their bullpen is like yours and can, give up a 5 spot real quick. Oakland isn't like that. Good teams aren't like that. Houston, Chicago, like these good teams that are on the top of their divisions aren't going to do that. And I think that was kind of a rude awakening for Angel players and Angel fans, is that, you can't afford to give up 5-run innings and compete, realistically. Like, yeah, every once in a while you'll get a shot in the dark, but that's what it is. So obviously Wednesday we go now to today. We're recording this Wednesday night. Angels trying to avoid a sweep. You go back-to-back sweeps and then get swept yourself. I mean, I don't know if that's how often that happens, but they're looking to not let it happen. Didn't happen, but they were looking for it not to happen at the beginning of this game. And with Griffin Canning on the mound again, one of these guys like Heaney, like Cobb, like Sandoval, you just don't know which one you're going to get until the game's like halfway over or something like that. So the Angels again up early in the first inning when Matt Stassi hits in Justin Upton for a 1-0 lead, but they would add two more when both Taylor Ward and Phil Gosselin both get RBI singles to make it 3-0 after one. So in my head, I'm like, okay, cool. It's not one run, it's 3 runs after first inning. And you kind of feel like to yourself, maybe we won't get swept. Maybe we'll get at least one out in Oakland, which, in a 3-game series, 1 out of 3 against a top-rated team, you can still kind of save it. You can still say we went, 4 for 2 in the road trip, which is still good.
Yeah, I mean, and then this is all in division. And
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw the numbers. The Angels within the AL West, it's I guess the word would be atrocious.
it's bad.
It's so bad, and it just hurts so much more when it's in division play, and you have that opportunity to put up the runs or to move up in the standings. There it is. And
you have and that was a perfect opportunity for Oakland to do it for the Angels to do it against the A's. Again, the thing about the Angels streak, they went like 7-3 over 10 before Oakland. Well, guess what? So did Oakland. So you gained no ground on the division. So now you're in Oakland. You're hoping to take advantage of it, and obviously they were not able to. Ohtani in the fourth, though, for back-to-back games, hits a bomb, and this one went second deck in Oakland, which they are saying that doesn't happen very often in Oakland. Obviously Oakland kind of reminds me of Anaheim a little bit, where if it's during the day, the ball travels well. If it's at night, and now you start getting that mist, that marine layer.
Yeah, they have the marine layer up there, right?
So yeah, exactly. So if it's the afternoon game, night game, you're not going to get it as much. But this ball was absolutely destroyed. Makes it 4-0 after 2. Ohtani's 19th home run of the year. And then you were kind of talking about before pod in our preview, obviously opening day, I believe I had the under over at like 25 home runs for Ohtani.
Yeah.
I have to go back and listen.
I think you went under.
I don't think I went under. I think I went over.
I know that.
I don't know.
I think it was lower. I think you had like 22 or something.
No, well, maybe. I have to go back and listen. Or
hey, in all honesty, though, go back to the beginning of the season. 22 home runs from Ohtani, who was coming off a injury
after a kind of like season.
Anything, you're just not really high on him too much.
Right.
Yeah, I meant 22 home runs. I've been happy with.
Exactly. So
yeah, but he
already at 19.
He's gonna have 22 before the All-Star.
He's already at 19. I think he's like in third place and over in the majors overall behind. I believe it's obviously Vlad Jr. He's just on a tear right now. Yeah. Acuna Jr. And then there it is, Ohtani. I mean, and none of those guys throw 100. So when it comes to the AL MVP, I've heard it both ways that people will say Ohtani because of the pitching part of it. What do you feel like? Do you feel like Ohtani's like the head guy right now in the AL MVP kind of stand in the race?
He also doesn't, play a position too. So,
well, he pitches. That's a position.
Yeah, but once every, maybe 6 days, maybe.
Still.
Yeah. I meant the cool factor and going both ways. Of course, that has the most impact. If he adds some more wins to his total, then 100%.
Well, I don't.
But Vlad Jr. today or yesterday said something to the fact that he's the MVP in the.
Well, I think wins are kind of overrated. Like you saw, Felix Hernandez win it. 4 or 5 years ago for Seattle, and I think he won like 11 games, but because of the run support was so bad.
Yeah,
and you can kind of say the same thing
low ERA
with DeGrom too. Like he doesn't get a lot of wins because the Mets don't help him.
Yeah,
but
he lost 2 games, and it's like his ERA is 0.5.
Yeah, exactly. He's lost like 3 games or 4 games where the score was like 2-0 or like 1-0 or something like that, and the other one was from the bullpen. Wasn't even him kind of deal. So I don't know. Wins aren't important. I still think Ohtani is killing it both ways.
Plus Vlad Jr. played in that small ballpark down in wherever it was.
Florida.
Yeah, I don't even know the city.
Deanington or Dianton?
Yeah, that thing was a bandbox. It was a spring training facility. And then now even in Buffalo it's still not the same. So, yeah.
After how many years do we get to rename the Blue Jays the Buffalo Jays?
Hey, Yeah, Buffalo Blue Jays has a nice little ring to it.
BBJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So again, Ohtani absolutely crushes the ball. 19th of the year. Again, we said before, absolutely killing it, carrying this team on his back because again, no Rendon in this game. So we'll have to kind of wait and see in that. And the top of the fourth, this guy loves playing against the Angels. You mentioned how Fletcher loves playing against the A's. This guy must love playing against the Angels. Roman Liriano ends up robbing a home run from Upton. Guess what? The very next half inning, he bats second. What does he do? Puts the ball out of the ballpark. And if you remember the series in Anaheim a little while ago, Angels down, 9th inning. I don't think it was Upton. Maybe it was Ohtani. Same thing. Robs a home run to like end the game. Where this home run would have like tied it. Like he loves playing the Angels. He puts the A's on the board 4-1. And in the bottom of the 5th, the A's would continue to inch back with another run on a fielder's choice to make it 4-2 after 5. So you're thinking to yourself, 4-2 after 5, not terrible. You've been able to avoid that huge blow up inning, and now you're into the 6th inning. But that would be it for Canning after the 5th inning. Wasn't able to even come out for the 6th to even try to work his way back. So Canning would be done, going 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, but only 69 pitches. So obviously had plenty of left in the tank. The reasoning, I guess they said, 3rd time through the lineup, 2 lefties up first.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it from a sabermetric perspective,
And Chris isn't a sabermetric person.
I don't really like. It just tells you the 3rd time through, they rake them, they're all over it, and so that's what they went with and put in Tony Watson.
Yeah,
who has been a pretty consistent guy for the Angels, especially in relief. But
yeah, only thing is that I would have loved to see Canning at least come out for the 6th.
Yeah.
Kind of give that opportunity you gave to Heaney. Give him that guy. If he gets on, okay, cool, pull him. Obviously, the matchups aren't working. But what happens if he gets 1 out? Okay, cool. What if he gets the 2nd out? Now you're righty versus righty. What if he gets that guy? There's so many things that could have happened to prevent what happened to happen. And so I would just love to see, again, 69 pitches. Your starting rotation as of recently has been, outside of like Bundy and then like the 1 Cobb start. But besides that, your starting rotation has been really, really good.
And if you want,
and the bullpen has,
and if you also want Canning to develop into the pitcher you want him to be like a number 2 pitcher,
right?
This guy needs to start working and building up. I know he's coming off injury, to get to that 100 pitch mark. Like we can't baby glove it
all the time,
for years upon years.
Right.
Like 65 pitches is like where you let a little league starter go out and to save their arm when they're young.
Yeah,
like you gotta progress. And guess what? Angels lose anyways.
Right.
So what does it even matter?
So at this point, I would love. I've seen or I don't just heard like Madden go up to Canning in the dugout after the 5th, saying, "Hey, we're going to give you an opportunity to play the 6th. We're going to give you that opportunity to work because again." He's only given up 2 runs. He hasn't been really hit very hard. There's some. He did put himself in some situation, but was able to work out of it. There wasn't like that huge 4-run inning. We're like, okay, now we got to take you out. You know what I mean? I would have loved the Madden to go up to him and be like, hey, you work through this now. We're going to give you the ball in the 6th. You want to be a player? Go out there and prove it.
Yeah, and I think I didn't have a chance to talk about this, but I think the grittiest performance we've seen on the mound this season was Alex Cobb.
After giving up that grand slam.
Gave up a grand slam. Most pitchers are done, whether they pull them or
just
they're
mentally.
Just mentally done. And I'm like, this game's
end up going 7 innings.
And then for him to come out and go 7 innings, he gave up a ton of runs. But guess what? That's old. That's 1985 baseball.
Boom.
Where people give up. I don't know. Jack Morris will go out there and give up a ton of runs, but he pitched 9 innings.
Everyone that's watching on YouTube does not have any idea who that is.
He's got a mustache like me. But he would get the win. And that's all that matters. And so I thought that was probably the best performance I've seen all season, even though it wasn't the most polished.
No, but it was gritty.
Like I struck out 15, but that's how you got to do. You got to go out there. But
the thing is, he held the team down and let the Angels come back and win that game. But he held them down. Again, I would have loved to see Canning come out there. And if he gives up that first base hit, cool. Now I feel like, okay, now it's vindicated to make that move. But at least give the kid an opportunity to continue the game. It wasn't like he was Haney, where he was at 90 something pitches going into that inning. Then I'm like, okay,
Yeah, I get that.
a lot of compressed in a lot of high pitched innings, a lot of stressful innings, pitches. I understand that, but dude's not even at 70 yet. Give him an opportunity, and that's, to me, I think that's Madden again, overthinking shit, thinking he's the like smartest man in the room kind of deal.
Yeah.
So obviously Tony Watson came in for the 6th inning, but it absolutely blew up on him. Like you mentioned, been a reliable guy for the year, but again, in my eyes, I don't know. This bullpen has been so, everybody from Iglesias to Myers to Watson to like Cishek. Everyone has had more than a handful of blowups in the season. And when your starting rotation is the best part of like your pitching, side of the team, you got to give him an opportunity. So he ends up giving up 5 straight hits plus an intentional walk. And now the next thing you know, you blink and it's 5-4.
Yeah, I was looking at my phone at work and I saw that 4-0 lead.
You're like, yeah.
We're gonna salvage this series, and I don't know what happened.
Yeah. So Steve Cishek and Jose Suarez end up coming in to kind of clean up his mess in that inning, but all the runs that Tony Watson would leave with on base would end up coming around to score. So you look at Cishek and like Suarez's line in the box scores, no runs, maybe like a couple of hits, but like it looks clean. And then you look at Tony Watson's line, he goes 0 innings, 5 hits, 6 runs, and 1 walk. So obviously not great for your ERA.
You're okay with Tony Watson. You just want Schlegers gone. Do you never see him again?
And Cishek. Well,
but
I don't want this team to start all over again. At least not now in the middle of this. If this wasn't,
we already did this last year.
Yeah, but I say
we carried one bullpen guy over from auction. What do you want to do here?
We might, and it'd be funny too because honestly,
go get Joe Smith. He's still around.
Honestly, if this way it's going, you're probably not going to have anyone carried over because C-Rod is probably going to be in the rotation next year. So you're not going to have anyone in the bullpen next year. So we'll see how that goes. And Jeff Fletcher of the OC Register kind of tweeted out at the time of the moves, like, well, you have all your high leverage or all your good relievers rested at this point. So it's a good move. And I'm like, trick question or trick answer. They don't have any good relievers. So it doesn't really matter at that point. So very frustrating to see. Another winnable game, I think, for the Angels. And then again, they end up dropping this game 8-4, get swept by the A's. For all the momentum and confidence coming into the series, it seemed like it just went right out the door. So, yeah. I mean, I guess bring on Detroit Tigers. That's the good part about that. It's like, at least the Detroit Tigers are coming into Angel Stadium starting tomorrow. And again, another team that isn't as bad as Arizona, but I think they're probably comparable to Kansas City, where they have some good players on there. They have some guys.
I know we kind of downplay the Diamondbacks, Royals, but the Royals got us that first time around. Yeah. When they were hot.
Yeah.
And we were actually pretty hot going into that series. And I feel like that's kind of where we tailspinned into the last few months. And that happened at the hands of the Royals. And then like the old adage goes, you gotta win win those games, right?
Yeah.
You gotta beat the
bad teams.
You gotta beat the bad teams if you want to, beat the good team. And a lot of times we don't beat the bad team.
Right. And that's the funny part.
Like the Rangers will come in.
Well, you mentioned
the Rangers will sweep us in.
Well, you mentioned it too.
Arlington.
I know New York isn't great right now, but traditionally New York is a competitive team, and then yet the Angels do great against them. And then, like you mentioned, the Mariners or Texas will come in and demolish the Angels. Like, we just got done beating 3 out of 4 from New York, and then we get swept by Texas in a 3-game series.
I think it was worth celebrating. Even the sweeps were against those teams is still worthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially the Angels.
So obviously, like you mentioned, the series coming up is in Anaheim. Is against the Detroit Tigers. Thursday, you have Ohtani on the mound pitching. Maybe hitting. It really will come down to Anthony Rendon and what his health is, because he did not go on the IL. So that means he is still taking up a roster spot, which means if he's not available to pitch hit, at least, there's one less guy on the bench for, again, when Ohtani gets out, you don't get that DH back. So if Rendon's starting or at least well enough to pitch hit, then you can see Ohtani bat. But if not, you're going to see someone else in there in the DH spot, and Ohtani is just going to pitch. So that's something to kind of look out for early in the morning or afternoon to see what the lineup is going to be. But Ohtani pitches on Thursday. Cobb pitches Friday. Saturday, Sandoval gets the mound, and we will actually be in attendance Saturday night.
Yeah, my first game in almost 2 years. I can't
What,
believe
19,
it.
right? 2019.
Yeah, but it was the game, the first home game after the death.
Right,
of
the
Tyler
no-hitter.
Skaggs, that
The
we were all
no-hitter,
there,
yeah.
and then I never went the rest of the season.
And then 2020
And
happened.
then,
And you're probably thinking like, we'll go next season. It's cool. Don't worry about it. And then 2020 happens, and
just kept going.
nothing.
I haven't moved back. And
so
Fuck
we
that.
will be at Angel Stadium Saturday night with Sandoval on the mound. Again, follow us on all our social media feeds, Halo_Haven. I know Chris is trying to work on some stuff. We'll see if we get that stuff done by then. But again, love to kind of meet you guys. Maybe we'll do like a small secret tailgate. I don't want to say it too loud because I don't want Angel Stadium to know.
vaccinated only.
Oh,
Vaccinated zone.
He's vaccinated. Chris is going to be like the bouncer and check your card. But no, so follow us on Twitter and on Instagram, Halo_Haven. We'll post when we're there, when we're on the way there, where we're at. And it'd be cool to kind of to meet some of you guys now that the stadium will be 100% open. Are you kind of worried about that at all?
Not at all.
Not at all? Yeah.
Not at all.
Well, you went to a reopening day yourself.
Yeah, I went to the 66ers reopening day.
Right.
Which
Yesterday.
I haven't been there for a while, and that's kind of our home field. And so that was cool. It was hot.
So hot.
Man.
So hot.
And then the lights wouldn't come on.
That's
I thought
funny
they
when you
had
texted
a
me that.
Flex alert going on and rolling blackouts. But then I
Don't
talked
you
to-
know who we are?
I talked to the general manager. He said that they had a guy working on some electrical stuff, and he
But
like flipped.
done.
Yeah, he flipped some panels, some switch, and
He got electrocuted.
Yeah,
you see
so I
smoke
don't
coming off
know.
his hair.
but yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see baseball back. Just be back in the routine and see some of the guys down on the farm.
Yeah. Jackson, Paris. Well, you said Jackson didn't play.
Paris wasn't playing.
Paris wasn't playing.
Jackson wasn't playing. but
Deshaun Knowles,
he
outfielder.
Yeah, just came up.
He just came up like probably 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, follow him on social media. He seems to be really interactive with fans on social media. He
seems like a cool dude.
seems like a cool guy. So that Saturday will be at Angel Stadium, full capacity. And then Sunday, Father's Day, Bundy versus Casey Mize. And if you remember that name, it's like their
number
first
first
round-
round, number one.
number 1-1.
He pitched. Well, he pitched yesterday.
Yeah.
Looked pretty good. I think his overall is like 3-3. Did you see where they came out and took his glove?
Oh yeah, that's something interesting. So I guess he had a darker glove.
Like a gray glove.
Gray
and they
glove.
had the gray aways.
Right.
Nobody made a complaint about it. The umpire on his own accord went up there and said, "Hey, I'm gonna take the glove off. You need to switch it out." So he got his teammate's glove, had the his name on it and all that. But he
Had a lighter tan.
lighter
tan
Mize
one.
was pretty. He's upset afterwards. If you saw
Dude,
that
he was
postgame.
pissed. Yeah.
He's all because people are gonna assume that I'm using
The sticky stuff.
the sticky stuff,
the sticky icky.
the spider.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And this time we're not talking about Tory Hunter. But yeah, so that's actually going to be really interesting to see if Bundy can buck up, if you will, to the younger up and coming Casey Mize. But that's going to be on Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all you guys out there. Our next podcast will probably be on that Monday after Father's Day because it is an off day, which is a weird off day, a Monday. But that will be our probably next podcast because there's no point in doing it Sunday night if they're going to be off the next day. So we'll do it one Monday night. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, another episode of the Curators Chronicles.
Let's go! Batter up! We're taking the afternoon off. It's a beautiful day for a ball game, too.
It's definitely it was
It's a
probably
hot day for-
I don't
hot
know,
day.
in the Bay. It was probably a little cooler,
It's a hot day for a ball game.
and I was like, it's kind of okay day.
Right, yeah.
It's always a good day for a ball game, but it was a hot one. So we're back with another edition of the Curators Chronicles. If you tuned in the last time I was on the podcast, it's been a few weeks. I had a hard hat from the stadium
From the rebuild.
for the rebuild
Remodel,
from the
yeah.
Edison renovation. That was it was called the Big Ed.
Big Ed.
Yeah, the Big Ed went to the Big Ed, but it was done by Disney.
The big.
96 stadium reopened in 97, and it still was a construction zone. So a lot of the execs would roll around those hard hats. But again, we talk about the stadium that we all love, that we grew up around. Maybe you're just getting involved in Angels baseball and you're kind of only know the new stadium. But today I present you, if you're watching online, I will show you my Danbury Mint model of Anaheim Stadium, the way it used to look. So if you're seeing that right now,
Yeah, the closed Rams version of it.
So Angel Stadium obviously opened up in 1966. It was open in the outfield. So the Big A, kids, was actually located in left field, and it was painted white. It was huge. It was something kind of spectacular. I hope
Right.
they returned to that. So I found this old photo actually at the swap meet that I'm showing you, but it actually shows the Big A still in left field. But with the expansion, or with the Rams wanting to move to Anaheim, they closed up the stadium like many stadiums did during that era. So it became
hashtag 80s,
hashtag
70s and 80s.
Yeah. So they had that big, multi-use stadium, football, baseball, which has completely been moved away from now with the Raiders leaving.
But the stadium in Oakland is kind of perfect. That Oakland was the team that they just got done playing. It still looks like the same. Like when the Rams left, Angels totally remodeled. When these other teams left, like the duel, they either remodeled or got new stadiums. Where Oakland is just
they stayed.
They don't know.
They stayed the course, man. And so with that stadium, in 1980, and so this is the stadium I remember from when I was a kid, for the most part. But being all the way around, so you could walk up. Some of the seats that you see in the top, obviously, are no longer there. But one of my fondest memories was they did did we talk about this? Where they did a turn back the clock night for the 35th anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
It was my birthday party. It's my 13th birthday. And so hot dogs were 10 cents, drinks were 10 cents. So people were just basically throwing food all at each other. It was like this humongous food fight. But it's way up here where it doesn't exist. It's like where that screen is now. That big screen left. So that's the stadium I remember. And then there's actually a piece of this A that fell off, but just like the Northridge earthquake in 1994, this big A piece came falling off and plummeting to the ground. Tons of concrete, but that little A piece is actually part of the entrance over off State College.
Oh, is that the A?
That's the A. They moved it from what I've heard. So that's kind of cool. They kind of kept that tradition there. But that was the stadium growing up, but this was made by Danbury Mint. If you're familiar with Danbury Mint, they make all those little collectible things that you pay like for
way too much.
Yeah, 4 monthly payments and one hard payment of $20 a month for like 5 years to get some collector like plates. But they also made a new edition of this that looks like the current stadium, which is very, very hard to come by. But I always remember the saying, you still see pieces of it when you walk down the back sides. That's still the same. So it's kind of a little bit different, and it was a multi-use. So you see a lot of Ram stuff. You see all these kind of like cheesy murals on the wall. And so if you were around during that era, you know exactly what it looked like. If you go onto our YouTube channel, there is some home video footage that was taken by John's dad with the big RCA VHS on his shoulder. I can't believe they let him bring it into the game, and also
that's a weapon now.
He had the commitment to bring it.
Hold it.
Yeah, so it was cool. So I was going through some footage this week too. It's like Jimmy Reese and young Tim Salmon, a Gary Gaetti, all walking around for picture day. So, and there's also cool views of the press box, which is no longer there. It was like KMPC and stuff like that. So yeah, check that out. Yeah, be on the lookout. This Danbury Mint model, and just kind of a nice little. And then we talked a lot about a possible new stadium. So what is that going to look like? Are they just going to renovate the existing stadium one more time? But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, only time will tell. And then I'm sure you'll find a mint. So let's just say they do build a new stadium. You'll find a mint like the current stadium at some point, and I'm sure that'll be a little.
You know what talk about full capacity? Do you know what full capacity was?
Ooh, good question. I'm guessing somewhere around 55 to 60,000.
It's about 69,000.
69, nice.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Yeah, almost 70,000 people at the Big A.
Wow, that must have been loud if they ever sold it
Yeah,
out.
we didn't stop.
Yeah, I was like,
We didn't stop.
if they ever sold it out. So obviously, maybe this opening day tomorrow, reopening day, it'll be sold out. We'll see how that goes. So that's been another edition of the Curators Chronicles.
Let's go, batter up. We're taking the afternoon off. It's a beautiful day for a ball game, too.
Like I mentioned earlier, I was able to talk to both Reid Detmers, the number 2 Angels prospect by MLB Pipeline, kind of about the 2020 season, about this year, about, there's a bunch of stuff. And also MLB.com writer Rhett Bollinger about the season so far. Last time we talked to him was during spring training before the season started. Those full episodes are on our YouTube page. They're up now, available to watch. This is going to be kind of a little preview of both for you guys. So if you like what you hear, hell, if you don't like what you hear, go watch the full. Go.
It's like a little appetizer sampler.
Yeah,
platter.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, those are the best, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like at the
You're
Sizzler.
like, you don't want to fully commit to a menu item, and you're
Like the
"Oh,
Sizzler.
but I want them all.
Yeah, like the Sizzler. Exactly.
Oh,
So-
Sizzler, they're going out, man.
All right. So here's our interview. My next guest on the All Angels podcast is one of the young arms in the Angels organization. That's Reid Detmers, the first round 10th overall pick in 2020. Reid, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. So like I mentioned, first round pick, 10th overall in 2020. 2020 in general was just kind of crazy for a lot of people. How was the lead up to the draft? It being such a uncertain time, and obviously the season didn't finish in college, and the draft was in question for a while.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty weird. Once the season ended, it was just me and my roommate. We pretty much just stayed on campus at our house and did our best to work out. We didn't have any facilities or anything. We just kind of went in the courtyard, did a couple things, played catch every day, threw bullpens a couple times a week, and then like heading up to the draft was pretty hectic. Just talking to teams every day, sometimes a couple of teams a day. But once they got closer, they started narrowing down their picks, so it got a little bit less hectic, I guess. And then the day came, and I was an Angel.
So how did you feel leading up to it? Did you have a feeling you were going to go in the top 10? Did you have a feeling you were going to go early, or what was your overall kind of thought around it?
Originally I thought I was going to go in the top 10. But once the day came, I had no clue where I was going to go. It got very hectic. A lot of teams were backing out. And yeah, I mean, my agent called and they're like, "Hey, we don't know where you're going to go. Like everybody's backing out. Everybody, it's getting pretty crazy." I was like, "All right, that's fine. Just let me know when a team calls." And so the Angels called, and yeah, it was the dream come true.
How was it being at Louisville, your college, surrounded by family and friends during that process? Do you remember the emotions that were coming through you at the time when you did finally hear your name called?
Yeah, slightly. I kind of blacked out. During the moment, but it was special, man. Just being able to experience that with all my teammates and my family. That was a pretty cool moment.
Obviously, Angels fans know the pitching has been a struggle in the years past. And when fans talk about making moves and bringing guys in, the two names through, Angels Twitter, it just kind of the fan part of it is you cannot trade Chris Rodriguez and you cannot trade Reid Detmers no matter who the return is. And when you hear something like that, where the fans want to see you in the Angel uniform, how does that make you feel?
I mean, good. Knowing that the team you're playing for, the fan base wants to keep you. That feels pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I'm just excited, man. Just ready to go out there and compete. Whenever the chance comes, I don't know when it will be. It could be whenever. Who knows? But yeah, it's fun. And yeah, just looking forward to play out there in front of the great fans we have.
Your first start was May 5th, and like you mentioned before, like it was kind of like a season long of practices out in Long Beach. So when May 5th happened, it was your first professional start. Was there nerves, or what was going through your head when you're on your way to the mound on that game?
I wouldn't say there was nerves. I was very anxious, not being able to pitch in an actual game in over a year. I mean, yeah, I mean, I was just very anxious. Went out there, and I thought my stuff was good. I just found things off, and yeah, just got my pitch count way up really quick. And obviously, it wasn't the debut that I wanted, but I learned from it and kind of went out the next inning and kind of did what I wanted to do.
So obviously, the Trash Pandas, the very first season of them, have a brand new field, Toyota Field. I've only seen it in photos, but it looks absolutely awesome. So when you walk onto the field, you see it. You know, you guys have like media day and all that stuff kind of leading up to the first game. What are your thoughts about that brand new stadium?
Yeah, it's sick. Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect when I got here. But as soon as I pulled up to the stadium the first day we were here, I was like, wow, this place is legit. And walking down to the clubhouse, seeing the locker room and our weight room and stuff like that, like this is probably one of the best stadiums in the league. And yeah, it's just nice having a nice facility at your home ballpark. You're going to a nice facility, like you're just comfortable. And then going out into the field, seeing the 5,000 to 8,000 fans we get every game, that's pretty cool. They're loud, they're into it the whole game. There's never a quiet moment, and yeah, they take things very serious here.
So obviously what we do too on the podcast, when we have guys on for the first time, we'd like to get you to know you a little better off the field, because obviously every time we see you with the ball in your hands pitching on the mound. So first thing I want to ask you, strikeout looking or strikeout swinging?
Looking.
Do you have a preferred pitch?
No, not really. I mean, seeing them strike out looking on the backdoor curveball is pretty cool, or a fastball inside or something like that.
So you spent time obviously in Long Beach last year with at Long Beach State. What are your thoughts about In-N-Out?
In-N-Out. Oh man, I've only had it like 3 times. I will say it's better than McDonald's.
That's good.
I mean, it's good. It's just like it's fast food. I don't know if there's any like fast food you can be like, wow, that's really good. But yeah, I would say it's better than McDonald's and like most places.
And I want to welcome back our next guest, MLB beat writer, MLB.com beat writer, Rhett Bollinger. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you back on. I'm glad you're one of the left Angel beat reporters that didn't leave. So that's always good to have you on. And you kind of mentioned it a little bit too, Ohtani, pitching and hitting a lot more this year than I think we've seen him at all in the past, especially with like not really getting the day off before and after. He's done great. I think he's a front runner, obviously, for AL MVP. Was this kind of expected, this kind of start to a season as far as hitting everything out, striking everybody out? Was this kind of expected?
I think there was a hope that he could do this, but I don't think anybody really thought he was going to play this much. You kept hearing, during the winter meetings and during talks with Joe and even during spring training that they were going to no restrictions on Ohtani and all that. But to a lot of us, it still meant, okay, no restrictions, but it still means he's probably going to be out of the lineup the day before it starts or maybe after it, maybe the day of, and he'll get, a decent amount of rest as a hitter. And but so far, as you know, he's been pretty much playing every single game outside of those NL rules where he didn't play the outfield because it made sense. It would have been probably too much on him. So, yeah, I think that it's been pretty incredible what he's been able to do. Like you said, I think right now, along with, Toronto's Vladimir Guerrero Jr., they're kind of the 2 front runners right now for AL MVP. And Ohtani seems like every time every start he's setting some new milestone and some new record that only like Babe Ruth or somebody had ever set before. So it really is amazing, and it's good for baseball. I think that everyone thought this could happen because of it happened in 2018 when he was a rookie. He really was this good too. But since the injuries and all that, kind of last year was pretty forgettable. There was some concern, like, is he going to be able to do this? And sure enough, he's basically erased all doubts and has really been probably the biggest storyline in baseball this year. I think, like we talked about earlier, the starting pitching's been a lot better. Even the bullpen's been better because of that, because it had fewer innings to have to cover. And then we've seen some other guys step up. We've seen Max Stassi become, one of the better hitting catchers in baseball, which has been really impressive. And Jared Walsh had a little bit of a slump there, but still, one of the better first basemen in baseball so far this season. Ohtani's obviously carried that load. And we've seen guys step up like Taylor Ward has played pretty well in right field. Lagares has come through a few times out in center. And the big one too is Justin Upton. I don't know how Joe realized to put him in, leadoff spot. It would actually work. I remember thinking that it was totally crazy when he did it because, Upton was outside of some power, wasn't really having a very good year, wasn't really getting on base. And all of a sudden now moving to leadoff spot and he's, become one of their best players and is hitting home runs and drawing walks and looks like the Justin Upton of old. So that's been a big thing. I think Upton getting on base and setting that tone atop the lineup has been huge. They've been scoring runs early in games, kind of like Matt likes to say, kind of punching them in the mouth and then kind of having that first punch there and kind of going from there. And it's been a good strategy. I mean, it was tough going into Oakland in that first game. Bundy just didn't have it and truthfully just hasn't really had it in most of his starts this year. So that's been an issue, but we've seen Patrick Sandoval step up too. And we'll see what happens when Quintana's healthy.
What do you think it's been, for Bundy, having a great 2020 and kind of pretty much really high hopes fan-wise, anticipation of him this year kind of being that frontline starter and just have not been able to put a good start together. Is it something, that is just maybe it's catching up to him because it was such a short season last year, or is there some kind of fundamentals wrong with him?
Yeah, I think last season he just was much better at locating the ball. I think that he was hitting the edges more, and that slider was such a good pitch. He got a lot of strikeouts, so that pitch was kind of his out pitch. He was able to get ahead of hitters and locate in areas that, hitters weren't driving the ball. I think he only gave up 5 home runs all of last season. This year, and just one more start, he's given up, I think, 14 home runs, I think, in 12 starts this year. So I think he's just given up a lot more big hits, and he talked about it after the game, saying he's leaving way too many pitches over the middle. He's been working to try to, remedy that. He's had a lot of bullpen sessions trying to, polish his command, get better control, get kind of back to what he was last year. And then, even on Monday, his velocity was down, his spin rates were down. Just didn't really look like the same guy he was last year, and was hit hard as a result. And we've seen it happen, a lot. Ever since the start of May, I think his ERA is above 9. So I mean, he's given up more than a run per inning since May. So in April, I think he had like a 4.2 or 4.5 ERA and looked kind of like that same Bundy, and even early in the year looked pretty good. And truthfully, the A's are a team that he usually dominates, and so to see him kind of get hit around like that was not a good sign. And like I said earlier, he's got to get it going, because if not, maybe they put Quintana in the spot and keep Sandoval in the rotation. Still a little too early to say that because Quintana hasn't started his rehab assignment or anything yet. But if Bundy turns in a couple more rough ones, it's how much longer you can continue to go with a guy that's has an ERA above 9 over his last 7 starts or so.
And something that I've seen on my Twitter, and I'm sure you've probably seen on your Twitter and social media, is another young pitcher that people are hoping to be in the starting rotation at some point this year, and that's Chris Rodriguez coming in, doing great. Just coming back off of injury, though. Is there a plan for him to start at some point this year, or is Joe and Perrion kind of holding off on that and just let him kind of get innings right now as a reliever?
Yeah, I think right now, this season especially, it's just going to be him being a reliever. Just because, he had the injury history in the past, had only thrown 9 1/3 professional innings since 2017. So just not enough innings for him to go be a starter and build up this year. So I think right now they'll be smart about him and use him as kind of like that long relief or that multi-inning reliever but in big spots, obviously coming in close games for 2 innings, maybe potentially even 3. He's done that too. But I think right now to monitor his innings going forward, he's only going to be a reliever this year, but his stuff, though, profiles as a starter. So I think next year there's a very good chance he'll come into camp competing for a spot as a starter, because we do know too this rotation needs to be completely remade. You know, you look at all the guys who are going to be free agents. You know, Heaney's going to be a free agent, and Bundy's going to be a free agent. Quintana's going to be a free agent. Cobb's going to be a free agent. So you got to replace some of these guys, and obviously they can do it via trades or free agent signings. But they're also going to need some guys to step into that rotation, and he could be one of those guys. And I said Suarez could be one of those guys. Maybe Sandoval could be one of those guys too. And at some point too, Reed Detmer. So that there is some of that depth, but clearly they're going to need to get some help this offseason, pitching wise, like always. But I do think that Rodriguez is a guy that can maybe count on in the future. It's just all about him staying healthy.
And you mentioned all those guys that are up at the end of the year. I think it's safe to say, unless Quintana has like some kind of crazy second half of the season, he's probably not coming back. But as far as like Bundy, Cobb, and like Heaney especially, has there been any kind of conversations about an extension? Have the Angels kind of talked about maybe leaning towards one guy or another, or just kind of letting them all go play the market?
I think right now, kind of let them go to the market a little bit more. They haven't had any real extension talks that I'm aware of with any of those guys. You're right; it is interesting. Like Heaney's been around for so long,
right?
You know, would they be inclined to bring him back just because he's been around, and obviously I think enjoys being around the organization. You know, Cobb has a good tie to Joe Madden, and then Cobb really has been pitching a lot better recently. Would he be amenable to want to stay in Anaheim as well? So Quintana, you never know. I mean, it's still kind of early with that one too. And Bundy was a guy that I think a lot of people wanted to extend before the season.
Last year.
Before this season, everyone thought extend Bundy. At this point, clearly that's not going to happen. And he's really costing himself a lot of money in free agency. I mean, I think he's more likely to go out there maybe now, unless he really turns it around and go out there and get like a 1-year deal. Maybe it would be with the Angels as one more year to try to take a chance on yourself, but it might be somewhere else, just a flyer, a 1 or 2 year deal, some team thinking they can kind of fix him. So as of right now, it's hard to know what they'll do with those guys. It's a little too early in the process, but they're going to make some big decisions after the season.
Max Stassi, like we mentioned before, has been on fire since coming back from his concussion. Is that a guy that if the Angels do find themselves out of the playoff situation, would they look to shop around, or is that catching position so hard to find a good catcher that can do both, offensive and defensively, that they're going to hold on to him, even though that might be the biggest, something they can get back for?
Yeah, I think at this point you have to keep Stassi because, like you said, it's so hard to find good catching these days. It's funny, the best catchers in baseball are like all the old guys right now. It's like, Buster Posey's having a great year, Yadier Molina. Some of these older guys are
Salvador Perez
is having a great year with the Royals. It's kind of funny that all of a sudden all the veterans are having the good years, but otherwise it's hard to find a good hitting catcher these days. And Stassi's proven that, going back to last season. He had a breakout year in 2020. It was a shortened season. You weren't really sure if it was for real. But this year so far, he's proving it wasn't really a fluke. And he's still having for a few more years of control. It's not like he's going to be a free agent this year. So to me, I think he's a guy you want to build around going forward. And he said he would probably bring back a Hall, which is pretty impressive considering at the time, they got him for just 2, I think, Dominican prospects from the
super minor
Astros.
Yeah.
And no one I'd never heard of, to be honest. And I think, Stassi that year was truthfully not hitting at all. So it's pretty amazing the way he's turning around his career and his value. But I think his value right now is too big for the Angels to trade.
And you kind of mentioned the right field, and it's kind of been a revolving door once Fowler went down early. I think it was like the second series or third series of the year, really early. You have Wong, you have, Taylor Ward out there. You had Rojas out there for a bit. I mean, it just seems like a constant rotation of people out there. But one name that a lot of fans are kind of clamoring for right now, especially with his numbers you see out in AAA, and that's Joe Adell. I believe to this point he still leads the AAA level with home runs. Has there been talk about bringing Joe up, maybe speeding up that process because he is on fire offensively in AAA?
There's definitely talk about him pretty much daily, I think, among the front office about when he's going to be ready. But they're trying to be a little bit cautious with him. They just know that with the way last year went, they don't want to have a repeat of that. The strikeouts are still up at AAA, which is a little bit of an issue. The defense is still can be a little bit spotty out there too, so they want to make sure that's all kind of cleaned up before he's brought up. It's like Perry said that they want him to come up this time and stay up forever instead of be a guy who's kind of up and down trying to find his way. So I think they're trying to get him, a little bit more ready. But I do think pretty soon now, he's got to come up just because of the way he's producing, especially with the power.
Follow him on Twitter if you do not already. That's at Rhett Bollinger on Twitter. Set up your alerts. When something comes out, he be the first to hear about it on your phone or tablet or whatever you want to do. So definitely check it out. Again, that's at Rhett Bollinger on Twitter. And then obviously you can read his stories on MLB.com, just under the Angels page. It's really easy to find. So Rhett, thanks again. From up in Oakland in your hotel room, really appreciate it, and hope to do this again around All-Star break.
Yeah, let me know. I'm always down to do this. Always fun.
So again, I want to thank Rhett Bollinger and Reed Detmers for jumping on the podcast. It was weird. We're watching it as you guys were watching it, and it was kind of like shaky, and we're wondering why. But I can guarantee you it's not like that on the YouTube page. So if you want to see the full interview of Reed Detmers and Rhett Bollinger, definitely go to our YouTube page, All Angels Podcast, and check it out there. Again, a lot of good information that we didn't even get to with Rhett Bollinger on there. Check it out. And then obviously same thing with Reed Detmers. Find out who he learned his slider from, or with, I should say, throwing the ball around. And then these two guys are kind of messing around a little bit. And all of a sudden, oh, look, my slider, what's been working great for him is been a tool. And it's kind of interesting to see who he learned it from or with. So that's also something cool to watch.
So
so
you think he's being called up this year?
No, I think
No way.
not to the majors. Salt Lake, I honestly think maybe give him another month and a half. He's going to be in Salt Lake.
Okay.
But I think he finishes the season there.
Okay.
I don't think
Yeah.
unless
What if we're in the hunt?
no, unless there's 3 or 4 injuries here or there, and then maybe. But he has to go to the 40-man roster before any of that happens.
Yeah.
So, but no, again, and I didn't even talk about it with Rhett on the interview about the young guns and all that stuff. So that's something else. But again, I want to thank these guys for just jumping on, and it was really cool to have them on. And obviously, it's always fun to catch up with Rhett. He's been on I don't know how many times now. So
yeah, man, always good to have him. Always our go-to.
always
The guys jumping
information,
on.
always
He talks
informational.
baseball all day, and then
Dude.
he goes back to the hotel room and then gets on a podcast.
Right. Or at this point, talks a bunch about a podcast and then goes to the game.
Podcast.
So
Yeah, this guy is.
So no, it's fun to have him here. Hopefully, All-Star break, we'll meet up with him again and kind of review the season and kind of preview the season too. So just like at any point, you can always email us at allangelspodcast@gmail.com. So we'll put out when we are talking to certain people, mostly if I feel comfortable that they're going to show up. Like Rhett, I always feel comfortable he's going to show up. So I'll put like, hey, if you have questions. Players, what I've learned, not Reed, honestly. So I set up for a certain time. And so I'm thinking, okay, players or people like in the media have always been like a couple minutes late or right on time. I sign in like 7 minutes early just to get everything set up.
He's there.
He's waiting.
Damn.
I'm all like, oh my God, I'm sorry. You're not waiting long, are you? He's like, no, I just signed on. I'm like, okay, thank you. But yeah, he beat me on to the StreamYard to record the interview. So that was rare. But for the most part, with athletes, because you're just busy and it's the middle of the season.
Moving, locker room.
Right.
field, going back,
So I'm always like
hotel.
hesitant to like, hey, we're having this guy on. I don't want to be the guy that doesn't pay out, the guy doesn't show up kind of deals.
Yeah.
But with Rhett, and you mentioned it, he's always, if he says he's going to be on, he will be on. So we'll put out, obviously, when we do talk to him during the All-Star break, and you can ask questions or whatever. And in the interview, because I did put a question out there on Instagram, I did ask him some of your guys' questions too. So definitely check it out. Again, All Angels Podcast YouTube page. Subscribe there. Subscribe to this podcast. Some of you might be actually watching on YouTube right now. So just hit the subscribe button, hit the alert button, and it will tell you when something new posts. And usually that's going to be the first place it posts is on YouTube. So definitely check it out. So before we go, the last thing, and you're going to hear us talk about it at least a little bit more until it actually happens, and that is obviously the Bearded Villains of the Inland Empire chapter, the chapter that Johnny Maggs was a part of, is having a fundraiser at Beer and Stave. I think I'm saying
Barrel and Stave.
Barrel and Stave.
Come on.
I've been drinking too much. Barrel and Stave Poorhouse out in the city of Fullerton. Again, that's 250 West Santa Fe Avenue, Unit 20, Fullerton, California. Come out. We are going to be there. We're going to have some giveaways. 10% of everything sold between the hours of 11 and 4 p.m. is going to go to the Tyler Skaggs Foundation in the name of Johnny Maggs. So, again, a great opportunity to just kind of hang out, chill. And then obviously too, if you've been listening to the podcast, been watching the podcast for a little while, it'd be really cool to meet some people there. And it's kind of funny too, because you think about it, Johnny always got a kick out of meeting people that like, oh, you guys do the podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of cool that this will, again, if you listen to the podcast or even follow us on our social media stuff, to come up and say hi or whatever, because Johnny would have felt
we like it when you say hi.
He felt like he was the top of the world every single time.
He always wanted to be a journalist or going to
Right.
journalism of some capacity. End up starting a couple podcasts.
Right.
But yeah, he thought he's big time.
Big time. That's what he got his nickname, Big Time.
Yeah, he thought it was the biggest thing ever, and he's like, oh yeah,
yeah. Did you see what they
I'm
did?
celebrity.
Exactly.
Yeah, but come out. We're gonna have some raffles. Of course,
Definitely,
we're gonna bring
yep.
some Angel stuff that you could get in on, and that will all go to the Tyler Skaggs Foundation. Daniel's been working hard to secure some items from some of our sponsors. I think we have a pair of sunglasses from Canon,
yep.
which are expensive but quality sunglasses.
Right.
It's definitely worth the money. Handcrafted in Italy. Nice
Designed
stuff, man.
in
I'm
the
wearing
US.
them every day.
I am too. Like
I'm
they're in my
like-
car
my-
right now
yeah.
on the way here.
I'm like rolling HD vision everywhere I go.
I wore him to play golf last weekend. I my eyes felt better. Didn't help me at all play golf, but
I don't know.
but my eyes felt a lot better after the
I don't know how to
round.
help you, but
Yeah, exactly. But my eyes felt better, so that's important. But yeah, we got that. I mentioned a signed ball by Brandon Marsh.
wow.
We got a season ticket holder that we know donate a night of his tickets. Again, 4 tickets plus parking in the 300 section. I mean, it is prime real estate for a foul ball. Like I have only gotten one foul ball.
And he was there. You got a foul ball.
I only got one foul ball in my whole life at baseball games. That wasn't like Inland Empire where you can like run and grab it, where it literally landed like
Yeah, I've never got one at Angel Stadium.
I got one at Angel Stadium in his seats.
Nice.
Like literally, it was.
So you're guaranteeing a foul ball then?
I'm not guaranteeing you a foul ball, but I'm guaranteeing you one will be like a section or 2 sections over from you. Maybe it will be in your section, but it was me and my wife, and this is a perfect example because we're actually in the seats right now of the old Angel Stadium. But what happened with us was that the ball ended up landing, boom, right here in the middle of the seat, and it ended up getting stuck because there was no one in the
Did you
middle.
move out of the way and like let the ball almost hit her.
No, actually, what happened was it was me and my wife, and then I kind of pulled her this way towards me,
Oh, okay.
and then it hit in the seat next to her, and then I reached over her and grabbed it and I pushed her out of the way, and like that's it. But yeah, so those seats are great. So we'll definitely have those tickets there for raffle again. It's gonna be something simple. It's gonna be a ticket raffle. Buy tickets, put your name,
We'll put it in the hopper.
there you
And then
go.
we'll go like that.
We're gonna
and we'll
or hopper,
pop
or
it out.
even maybe we'll have mason jars and we'll just pick one out. We're still figuring that stuff out. We still got just a little bit over a week. This is going to be Saturday, July 16th. Again, in June. Jesus
June
Christ,
26th.
I gotta stop drinking.
Cut them off. I've been drinking water the whole time, folks.
This is
You're
why.
welcome.
Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna be Saturday, June 26th in Fullerton. Barrel and Stave
There you go.
Poorhouse, 250 West Santa Fe Avenue, Unit 20, Fullerton, California. 10% of the proceeds will be donated to the Tyler Skaggs Foundation. And hey, if we're there, you want to buy us a beer? We'd appreciate it. We're bringing my wife so she can drive us
I've
home.
never passed up a free beer.
Never ever.
Put that out there.
Yeah, never ever passed up a free beer at all. But again, that's our biggest thing. Obviously, we'll be talking about it more and more as we get closer. Again, it's a week from Saturday. Love to see you guys out there. Love to see some of the fans out there. So definitely check it out. But that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the All Angels podcast. Again, we will be back Monday to review the Detroit series. Full capacity at Angel Stadium. We will be out there Saturday. Hopefully get a little bit of tailgating. Don't tell Angel Stadium or Angel officials. I don't want to get in trouble.
You're not allowed to do that anymore?
I honestly don't know. But
Come on. You don't think that people are tailgating out there?
well,
Yeah, you do.
tailgating, yes. Tailgating how we tailgate,
Yeah.
no. So we're gonna be on a little low key. So we might not have like the flags and the easy up and all that stuff, but we will try park as close to the Big A as possible, and then we'll let you know where we're at.
Yeah, we hope to have some giveaways. So look out on all our social media. We'll probably do a little
Yep.
sneak peek
Yeah,
preview while supplies last.
exactly. That's the biggest
Yeah.
thing. Supply that's free, so we don't make a ton of them.
Yeah.
Make few, but obviously we
Get
love
you
seeing the
some-
fans.
Get you
Yeah.
some button swag going on. So
Boom. All right. So that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the All Angels podcast. I am Dan Garcia,
I'm the curator.
and we will see you Monday after the Tiger series. Have a good night.